Hi everyone, welcome to another live ukulele lesson with me, Matt Stead. And today we're going to learn the fretboard. We're going to learn notes all over the fretboard. So hopefully you're going to find this really interesting and learn lots of interesting stuff. Now these videos always buffer at the start. So if I'm a bit jumping about, just bear with it, they'll settle down in a minute. And I thought, as the screen is just settling down, let me just play through a little bit of the simple melody that we're going to be playing all over the fretboard. Joy to the World by Handel. And you'll notice I put one bum note in there just to prove that even us teachers go wrong sometimes. Oh, there's always one, isn't there? So what we're going to do is we're going to use this really simple melody. And in a minute, I'll explain why I've picked that melody. It serves an exact purpose. And we're going to use that to play all over the fretboard. So let's just see who's here. Hi, Rebecca. Oh no, you made it. Well done, well done. Hi from Colorado. You made it back in time. That's brilliant. Sunny Brighton. Good to hear it's nice down there. Super hot, isn't it? I find bright red. It's gone crazy hot over here. Oh, hi Beth in Ontario, Canada. Karen is in Canada as well, so we've had a couple in from Canada today, which is brilliant. So there we go. Don't worry, Beth, if it's buffering a bit, it always settles down after a minute. So just give it a little minute and we should be good to go. Hi, Bonnie. Hope you're keeping well. Karen or any of you, if you could just let us know if the sound is all right, that'd be fantastic for today. And I'll just see if we've got any questions and then we'll get started. So Minnesota, brilliant, Bonnie. That's fantastic. So if you haven't done already, I'm going to have the sheets on the screen so you can follow along, but it is best to see if you can download them just because you'll be able to read them in a lot more detail. They are pretty small on the screen, as you'll see in terms of reading the tablature and everything, but just so it's available for everyone, I'll keep them up here. So we've got all these worksheets, and thank you to everyone that did download them. You can either pay £5 for the sheets with all the resources you need, or there's also an £8 option, and that just helps anyone that can't afford the sheets. So every time I do these, there's a few people for whatever reason that can't afford them, and that's totally cool. And the £8 donation just allows me to cover those guys. So thanks anyone that's Eva, actually, it's just brilliant to have you along. So thanks, guys. And so we've got these sheets. The first few are on the major scales and how they're constructed, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit of detail in a minute. And then we've got our lovely Joy to the World, which we're gonna talk through, and we're actually going to play that in 3 different keys today, which is really exciting. And the idea is by the end of this workshop, by teaching you a really fun melody, which follows a particular logical order, you'll be able to play it all over the fretboards and therefore learn the notes all over the fretboards, which is the general idea, which is cool. Hi Betty, hi Vicky, hi Lillian. Cool, we've got people from all over today, that's amazing. Fred in Holland, fantastic, brilliant. So let's go start by having a look at scales. And oh, hi Indrani. Indrani's at work listening in secret. We have to whisper so her boss doesn't hear her. Brilliant. Hi Lisa, good to see you, So a scale, if we think about a scale, it's just a series of notes that sound nice together. They really are that arbitrary. We can kind of think of them as these magical and mysterious things, but they're just like a ladder of notes that we use to create certain types of music and melodies. The most important scale that I think of in the whole world isn't a major or minor scale, it's something called the chromatic scale. And don't worry if you already know this bit, you'll enjoy the next bit, so just bear with us. But if you're new to this, try and soak this up like a sponge. Ask as many questions as you want as we go along as well. Hi, Patty. And the chromatic scale, its name kind of gives it away a bit. It has 12 notes in it, like the 12 notes of a chromatic clock. That's where the name comes from. And it's every note that we can play in the Western world, starting from C and going through every single note until eventually we get back to C again. Hi, Bev. So let's have a go at playing this chromatic scale on our C string. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with an open C. Then we're going to go for C sharp, first fret, D second, D sharp or E flat, third. Then we go to E, fourth, F, fifth. And we can keep creeping our way up to F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. So that's all the notes we have. Sometimes people get a bit intimidated by scales and they think, gosh, I've got all these notes to learn, or reading sheet music. But actually you realise there's only 12 in the whole wide world. And when we talk about the scales that we more use in music to solo or to compose from, we tend to pick and choose from that chromatic scale. And the most famous scales we have are the natural major or the natural minor scales. And we're going to look at the major scales today. And the major scales follow a formula, like a whole, half, whole, half. Some of you might have known this, that might have heard of this before. You can also think of them as intervals. Sometimes we might say tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. All right, that means the same thing. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm just going to take you to my whiteboard a minute and I'm just going to show you what I'm on about. So the brilliant thing is, when you think about scales as these intervals, you can create your own scales. Here we go. Let's get rid of this one for a second, from scratch. So when I'm talking about whole steps and half steps, a whole step is when we go from one note through to another and there's a note in between. So C to D is a whole step. So we could count that one, right? Then the next note, we have another whole step for a major scale, D to E. That's that one, right? And we carry on through the process. The next one is a half step, E to F. Then we've got another whole step, F to G. Then we've got another whole step, G to A. Another whole step, A to B. And then finally we finish with a half step. And if you've done it right, that should take you back to the start again and you should have a C. So when we talk about these intervals, you can create any scales using a set of intervals, almost like a formula. So that's your major scale. Whole, half, whole, half. And you notice that when we did that, we had the C major scale, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. This is the most famous scale in the world because it's the one that everyone knows as kind of do, re, mi. You know, do, a deer, a female deer, re, a tropical sun, all that sort of stuff. It's our classic do, re, mi scale. So let's have a go at playing it. Give me a second, I'm just going to bring this back and let's bring the sheets back on. So let's see, let's have a look and bring them up over here. So there's a couple of ways you can envisage this major scale, and the first one is using a shape. So see this shape up here on the left with all these dots on? The thick line is the nut of your ukulele, and the dots are the notes of the major scale. Now notice that some of the dots are squares and some are circles. The square just means the root, so a C note. So you'll notice that first note that we play is an open C for the C major scale because it's behind the thick line. It's an open note, it's behind the nut. Then we have second fret for D, open E, second fret for F, up to the third fret for G, open A, then we have the second fret for B, third fret for C. So we can play that through C, D, E. Why is that not gone? Fingers crossed. There we go, that's gone now. So we should be on a better Wi-Fi. There we go. Guys, I've just changed Wi-Fi, so can you let me know whether that's a little bit better? It should help. It's got a better upload speed. So fingers crossed. This is the one that I use for Canicapila. We should be back in business. It always takes a while for your comments to catch up. So fingers crossed it will catch up in a second. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll have another try. Just whilst we're waiting to see if that happens, I'll just do that C major scale one more time. So hopefully it'll give a chance for that to catch up. So one more time, C, D, open E, F, G, A, B, and C. And then we'll go backwards, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Yay, we're better, it's better. Sorry guys, that'll teach me to try something new. Deary me, okay, good to hear. Right, so let me know guys if you want me to go over any of that again because it was buffering badly. If you think you've got the gist of it and we're happy to carry on, just give me a thumbs up or just say all good to get going. Otherwise I can repeat the C major scale. Just let me know. But just whilst I'm waiting for that, let's have a look at another scale. So major scales all have those same intervals, right? That whole, half, whole, half. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, if you think back to your schooling. So we can do another major scale, but this time we're going to start from F. It does mean that these fingers are going to be in different places. And I've tabbed it out over here on your sheet. Okay. So fingers crossed, if you follow this through, you should just about be able to see it, but you'll have it on your downloaded sheets, okay? And let's have a go at the F major scale. So this time we're starting from the first fret of the E string, then we're up to the third fret, gives us G, open A. The F major scale has a B flat, C, we go up to D, next dot is E, and then finally one more to F. Let's try that again. So F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. Now, you'll notice that on your worksheets, I haven't actually written in the note names F, G, A, B flat, C, D. They are listed ahead at the top where it says F major scale. The reason I haven't drawn those note names in is that some people have found this useful to start to learn to read sheet music, because as well as the tab, you've got the sheet music above, so I haven't written them in. But feel free on your sheets to scribble those in, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and so on and so forth. Because a really crucial thing to help you with your learning, and I can't say this enough, is as you practice this, say the notes out loud. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. Because we want in our brains to associate those frets with particular names rather than numbers. That's really crucial. A lot of my students, when I start, say, I've mastered the C major scale, I can go, and I say, brilliant, what's that note? Haven't got the foggiest. So they've learnt the pattern and not the notes. So it's really important for you to say them out loud as you go. We've got a question here from Indrani. What What's the difference between whole and half steps? Oh, it looks like Karen's already answered it. Well done, Karen. That's absolutely perfect. So whole steps are 2 frets on your ukulele. So for instance, if I went from C to D, we have 2 frets. More specifically, it's a gap of 3 notes because we've got C, C sharp, D. So because there's no in between, we call C to D a whole step. E to F, which is 7 to 8, there's no sharp in between E and F. There's no E sharp. So a half step, 1 fret or 1 note difference. A whole step, 2 frets and 2 notes difference. And that's the thing. You've got it. And in terms of the thick line, that's just representing your nut, guys. So the dark line, Rebecca, is your nut. So notice that first note actually starts on the C string open. It's behind the nut. That's actually going to come into play in a bit because we're going to use those shapes further up the fretboard. Now we had another brilliant question. This is all great. I love these questions. It's really, really important. Where is it? Beth was asking, great question. Should we use particular fingers for particular notes in the scale? Absolutely. If you can, when you're doing the C major scale, because it's lower down the fretboard, I really want you to associate a finger per string. So any note that's on the first fret, first finger, second fret, second finger, third fret, third finger. So when you do that C major scale, correspond those fingers to the frets and try and play them as near to that metal fret as possible. Try not to come back because when we come back we get squeaks, but here is nice and clean. Now the reason for that is really important. It means that you can play, hopefully, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to be honest, you should be able to play the scale without looking, because you can drop your right fingers in the right place. Now if I try and do that with just one finger, I can do it, but it's a heck of a lot harder. My brain was having to really think hard there. So it allows you to drop those fingers in a lot easier. Now when we look at this F major scale, because it goes up the fretboard, we need to reset our fingers at some point. So what I tend to do is I play with my first fingers as expected in these first few. F1, G3, open A, B flat first finger, C third finger. Now when we go to this 5th fret, reset again. So you're going to use your first finger, then your third finger, and then your little finger. It's almost like we're resetting the fingers at the 5th fret. We call this first position, and you'd think this would be called second position, wouldn't you? But we actually call this 5th position because it's starting at the 5th fret. Okay, so I'll do that one more time. F major scale, F, G, A, B flat, C, reset, D, E, F. Okay, fantastic. Now, that F scale is great. It's brilliant because we can play it all the way from top to bottom. But do you notice how it goes a bit all over the place on the ukulele? We start down here and we end up way up here. Now, if we can think of scales as shapes, and this is one of those moments where hopefully some of you will have a light bulb in a minute, it helps us to remember the fretboard, and this bit is crucial, all right, but really exciting as well. So try and follow me with this. Just kind of humour me. It'll feel a bit weird at first. What I want you to do is I want you to go back to the C major scale, and we're going to use these dots up here to help us. But anytime there's a note that comes behind the nut, so for instance that first C, instead of playing your C string open, well, you are going to play it open, but as well as playing it open, I want you to actually put your first finger behind the nut. I know that sounds completely loopy, but just trust me. Try putting your first finger here and we'll play that open C. It has no effect, but it will help with something in a minute. Then when we play the D, 2nd fret, use your 3rd finger. Then when we play the open A, use your 1st finger, open E, sorry. 2nd finger for the F, that 1st fret, little finger for the G, 3rd fret. Then 1st finger goes behind the nut again. 3rd finger for this B, little finger for this C. Now you might think I've gone mad, but have a look and copy back with me. I'm just putting my thumb up here so you can see what I'm doing. What we're doing is we're training our fingers to play a shape. We've got a big gap here, then we drop a string. Then we've got a small gap, next fret, big gap, we drop back, big gap to here, and then here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let's play it backwards. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Now here's the magic. If we play that exact shape, but we start from, say, the 2nd fret, we get another major scale. All the same relationship, but now we have the D major scale. So just by starting that shape at the 2nd fret, we have the D major scale. I'm going to do the exact shape we just played, look. We're going to go from 2 to 4. Then we're going to go from 2 to 3 to 5. Back to 2 one more time, up to 4 and 5. Can you see how I'm just playing that pattern? Big gap, start the same fret, little gap, big gap, start next fret, big gap, little gap. Try it for me one more time, okay? I'll say the notes. You don't have to learn these ones yet, but I'll say them as we play them. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. We've just played the D major scale. Isn't that magic? So now you know your C major scale and your D major scale. Now here's where the magic happens. So it's amazing. You know all of your major scales. You might think, what? I don't know all my major scales. You do know all your major scales because you can play any major scale using that pattern. And whichever note you start with on that square on the C string, that's the scale it's named after. So just to really, really kind of hammer that home, if you start again but from the 4th fret, let's go way up here to the 4th fret, which is an E note. We know that's an E note because we can take that chromatic scale we learned at the start, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. We know that's an E note. So we're going to do the same pattern again. This time we have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. But the important thing is that pattern gives you your major scale starting from D. So now you know how to play your D major scale. And if you want, you can even kind of harken that back to the notes of the chromatic scale to work them out. Don't worry too much, you can always use a fret diagram to help you. But you can take those major scales all over. And what I would like us to do next is play this F major scale. Let's do this one just because it's tabbed out on your sheet. Let's do the E flat major scale. We're gonna play this one, exactly the same thing, but we're going to start from the 3rd fret, just so we've done the one that's on your sheet. This is exactly the same principle as what we did. Now this time we go from 3, 3, 5. You can use a tab to help you. And we go back to 3, 4, 6, 3, 5, and up to 6. We can come backwards. 6, 5, 3, 6, 4, 3, 5, 3. And I've written it out there, E flat major scale at the top there as well. So you can actually follow the notes. You could say them out loud as you do it. E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and so on, and C, D, and E flat. Okay. For some reason, I've missed out the last couple of notes, haven't I, when I've written out the E flat major scale there? I don't know why, but it was D. It was D and E flat at the end there. If you want to write them in. Yeah, D and E flat. I was just checking. So you can kind of scribble those last two on if you want. But that pattern we've taken up. Now let's go back to the piece of music that I wanted to teach you. What we're going to do is that pattern is going to allow us to play this piece of music all over the fretboard. I'll just give you an example, just the start of it. Joy to the world in the key of C. Joy to the world in the key of F. Whoops, do that again. Let's use the one that we were just doing, Joy to the world in a key of E flat. And the reason I've done a piece of music, Joy to the World, rather than just dry scales, is it gives you something fun to practice it with. It can be a bit boring just playing scales up and down the fretboard. So this is a really, really nice one to just kind of practice and learn these notes all over. Okay, let's have a look at learning this piece of music then. Now, the reason music teachers love Handel's Joy to the World is that it is literally a scale backwards. In fact, it goes up and down, but the start of it is just a scale backwards. So again, just go with me. This isn't on your sheet, but what I want you to try doing is play your C major scale backwards. Okay, don't worry about timing or anything. We're just going to go C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. One more time, I'll say the numbers this time. 3, 2, off, 3, 1, off, 2, off. There we go. Karen, if you struggle with it, you can use other fingers. Just got a good question by Karen about is forcing her to use her unstretchable baby finger. If you can practice stretching it, it's really good practice, isn't it? Which is fantastic. But if you're doing yourself a mischief, we don't want you to be in pain or anything. You can use other fingers, but just the ideal is if you can use those ones is perfect. And yeah, Androni, absolutely. I've said this in a few of my videos, haven't I? I learn like anyone else in driving, and I find the same thing when I'm learning about music or anything really. Trying to learn a new language recently, I have to watch the video over and over again, and sometimes it's the 4th or 5th time, isn't it, before everything clicks, and that's absolutely fine, as long as you're picking up little tips as we go. Plus you'll have a cool bit of music to play at the end of this, which is great. Okay, so hi Charlene, don't worry, I've just gone over how major scales are formed, but you can catch up on that bit later, it's absolutely fine. If you're on your sheets, we're on, I think it's the 3rd page where we've got Joy to the World in the key of C. So one more time, because I just got distracted explaining something. I'm glad I did, so don't worry, it's not a problem. But let's just do that C major scale backwards one last time. So 3, 2 off, C, B, A, G, that's the 3rd, 1st for F, off E, 2nd for D, off for C. Now the start to the Joy to the World is the C major scale backwards. We just need to put this rhythm into it. Okay. Now, if you're really into your kind of counting and notes, I can explain it, but I won't go into detail with every single note because otherwise we won't be able to do the learning that I want to do really. The brilliant thing about Joy to the World is even if you can't read sheet music or worry about how long each note lasts for, if you sing it along as you play it, Joy to the world, a king is born, or however the lyrics go. Sorry, Handel, I can't remember. I think that's it. You'll see that you can get the rhythm of it. All right. If you're into counting, the first 3 notes is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, but you can play it with me just by doing the rhythm. So let's do that. C major scale backwards, but follow my rhythm. 2, 3, 4. Okay, fantastic. Now, when you practice this at home, I really want you to say these notes out loud. Again, you can write these on your sheets if you want to. The reason I haven't written these on is because I use these sheets to teach people how to read sheet music as well. And it's a brilliant way to learn if you can kind of start to associate just those notes with the sheet music. It's great because this C major scale, 7 notes. You only need to learn 7 notes. How cool is that? So let's try that one more time just so we can see how it works. I'll say the numbers this time. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, off, 3 on the next string, 1, off, 2 on the next string, and off. The next bit of the piece goes up the scale. We have GA, 3, 0, AB, 0, 2, 2, 3, that's BC. Isn't that mad? That shows how the influence of these major scales have had on classical music. The whole of that first part of Handel's Joy to the World is a C major scale backwards and then forwards with a couple of repeated notes. Let's do that first line. 2, 3, 4. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Okay. Then we go up. We've got GA, AB, BC. Now the next bit, we've got a similar thing. We come backwards through the scale. This is the second line now. Okay, this one here. We come backwards through the scale. Just follow it with me. C, C, B, A, G, G, F, E. And then the same thing again. C, C, B, A, G, G, F, E. Okay, let's do that for the numbers for anyone that's struggling because you're learning these notes. And I'm not expecting you to know all the notes straight away. That's the whole point of today. So 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 2, off, next string, 3, 3, 1 off. And again, top string, C, C, 2, off, next string, 3, 3, 1 off. Fantastic. Karen, doesn't really matter too much. You can use your thumb to pick or fingernails. There's no wrong or right answer for that. It's one of the biggest questions I get as a ukulele tutor is when people do finger style, should they use their fingers to pick or just their thumb or a combination of both? And there's no right or wrong answer. It depends on the timbre you're going for, the feel. Some ukulele artists just use their thumb for everything. Kimo Hussey, one of my favourite players from Hawaii, he does these beautiful chord melodies and he only ever uses his first finger and thumb. So there's no rule. For today, I would say the rule is whichever's easiest for you because I want you to concentrate on this hand, all right? So absolutely fine either way. All right. So just to let you know, we got to kind of towards the end of this this last bit. We're going to look at this last measure here. Actually, let me just We're going to look at the note before the last measure here. Okay, so one of the zeros. And again, just follow it through with me, really nice and slowly. So we're starting on the E string now, and we're starting with all those offs. E, 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 F, G. Okay, one more time for those that like numbers. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 3. Next bit, end measure 14. F, E, 1 off. low D, 2, D, E, F, 2 off, 1. Brilliant. And then we finish with this big jump. We go C, E, D, sorry. That's off on the E string, 2nd fret C string, low C, and then up to this high C. We call that an octave, that low C to a high C. An octave is when we go all the way through the scale. It's called an octave because the difference between this note and this note is 8, hence oct, like octagon or octopus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like maths, right? Okay, so that's that big jump. 0, 2, off, C. And then the last note at the end of the penultimate line, we've got this open A, G, 3rd fret of the E string, down to 1 and off for F, E, back on for F, off for E, low D, and then low C. Brilliant, guys. Let's try that all together. Let me see if I do it like this. I think you can see the whole thing then. Yeah. Okay, let's try it all together from the start then. So C major scale backwards to get going. 2, 3, 4. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, low C, G, A, B, B, C. Next line, we come back through the scale. C, C, B, A, G, G, F, E. And again, C, C, B, A, G, G, F, E. Loads of E's. E, 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 F, G. Then F, E. One off. F, E, D, 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 E, F, E, F. Sorry, E, D, C, high C, A, G, F, E, F, E, and that low D, and finally the low C. Okay, well done everyone. Now, if you found that difficult, or maybe you did the first bit and then you got lost after that, don't worry, because that first bit is the most important. You've got the whole of the rest of your life to perfect the rest of that song, right? You can take your time and learn it really, really slowly. But the most important thing is that scale. We're practicing that scale. We're coming through it backwards. All right, that's the key thing. So practice that round over the next, maybe do a little bit each day. Work on it and say those notes out loud. It's going to be really, really crucial. All right. At the end, I've got a magic trick which shows you how to learn all these notes even easier. All right, but we want to put some music into it to make it a bit more fun. Okay. So what we're going to do now, let me know how you got on with that, guys, or if you've got any questions. I can pause at any moment. I can repeat any of it. We're going to go really nice and slow. Let's have a look at doing this song now in the key of F. Now, the whole point now, this is your next sheets along where it says Joy to the World, key of F. I'm just moving it up so you can see that. Now, this time, the process is still the same. The intervals between all those notes are identical to what we were just doing. Only we're going to do it in the key of F. So just to remind ourselves one more time, I know there's a lot of repetition today, but repetition is so important when you're learning. It's like crucially important, right? So let's go through this F major scale one more time as it's written out here on the tab of your first proper page. All right, just one more time just to make sure, and then you'll be able to play Joy to the World, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we've got F, G, 1, 3, A, B flat, 0, 1, C, reset to the 5th fret for D, up to 5 for E, and then F is 7. Okay, let's try that backwards. 8, F, 7 is E, D is 5, reset, 3 is C, back to B flat 1, off for A, G at the 3rd fret, and then we'll come down to F here. Okay. Now, if you can play that F major scale backwards, notice that switch I made there. I reset my 3rd finger. If you can play that backwards, you can play Ode to Joy in the key of F, and this is where the magic starts, okay? I'm going to go back to that 3rd sheet along again, which is Joy to the World in the key of F. Just make sure I've got the right one. It's no good if we play it in C again. Now, we know that the start of Joy to the World is the major scale backwards, all right, for a particular rhythm. So let's do that, but we're going to do the F major scale backwards. So with the rhythm, Joy to the world, a king is born. Okay, let's try that again. So 8, 7, 5, 3, 1 off, 3, 1. Now this time as you do it, let's see if you can say these notes with me. Let's go nice and slow. F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. Okay, and then we go back up the scale, don't we? We've got 3, 5, C, D, 5, 7, D, E, and then 7, A, E, F. Yeah, amazing. Second line, we come back down the scale. Just watch out for those repeated notes. F, F, E, D, C, C, B flat, A. We do it again, up to A. F, F, E, D, C, C, B flat, A. We're rocking, right? We're doing this. Then you've got all those zeros at the end. A, 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 off 1 A, B flat, C. Then the end of measure 14, B flat off, 1, 0. G at the 3rd fret of the E string. Open A and B flat, 0, 1. A, G, that's open A. 3 here, F here. That big octave leap now takes us up to 8. Good. Down to 5, D. 3 for C. Down here for the 1. And again, B flat, A. 3rd fret for E string for G. And the F. Okay. Let me know how you got on with that one. A little bit tougher, that. And again, this is one of those lessons where, please trust me, you might think, why are we doing this? Oh, why, you know, a bit bored. We're just doing the same thing over and over. The next bit hopefully is going to tie together some more learning again, because we're going to start to use those scale patterns we learned right at the start of the lesson to play this piece, and that's hopefully where this magic happens. So yeah, isn't it cool, Charlene? That it's just, there's so many songs like that that are just the scale up and down, which is really interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Scales are a lot harder to play backwards, aren't they? Play and say backwards, actually. Yeah, definitely. Don't worry, Beth. Remember, you can watch this video back as many times as you want. It's available to repeat as many times as you like. So nice and slowly, take it all in. It always takes me a little while, but you get that with practice, right? Now, let's flick one more sheet. Just going to flick onto the next one. Now you'll notice at the top of this sheet, if I make it bigger, it says key of F, position 5. So now we're going to play in the F major scale, but instead of playing the one that goes from down here, from low to really high up here, we're going to play the same notes, but we're going to use that scale shape we learned earlier. this is where the magic comes in for me. This is where it really starts to tie together. Okay, so again, I'm just going to remind you guys of that shape. Let's go back a few sheets. It's this shape. Actually, that one would do. That shape there at the bottom, if I make it bigger, bring it up here. Hopefully it's just enough video for me to squeeze in. All right, that's the shape that we're going to do. We're going to start with a square, meaning your root note, on the C string. Notice that string is slightly thicker on my diagram, and your C string is your thickest string. So hopefully it helps you find that. Okay, so we're going to start at the 5th fret. We're going to go up 2 to 7. We're going to go back to the 5th fret again. We're going to go up 1 to 6. We're going to jump up to, where are we now? 8. We're going to come back to 5, up to 7, and finally to F. Let's do that a few times, all right? I think I can make this smaller now, can't I? You guys got the idea. You can actually see what I'm doing better then. All right. So once more, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. One more time, and I'll say the notes. And I want you to say them with me if you can. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. You'll notice that the notes of the F major scale are almost the same as the C major scale. We just go from F to F, but there's a B flat in there. And it's just because the reason there's a B flat is because we start from a different place. That's all it is. Yeah. Because our instruments are awkward, not every note has a sharp and flat after it. Every key has a certain amounts of sharps and flats. It's kind of way to think about it. All right. Let's try one more time. Yeah, totally, Joanna. Yeah, a lot of people find it a lot more comfortable to use their fingers. Absolutely. I tend to do that, to be honest. If I was to play this on my own, I would probably kind of use that Pima style, you know. But you can use either. Absolutely fine. As long as your left finger's moving, that's the important thing. All right. Now, let's go back to that scale shape again. This time, we're going to come backwards. So we're going to start from 8. It's harder backwards, isn't it? We're going to start from the 8th fret of the A string. And we're going to go 7, 5. We're going to go 8, 6, 5, 7, 5. Same again. This time, we're going to say the notes. F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. One more time. F, E, D. And we come up here to C, B flat, A, G, F. Now here's the magic. You can play Joy to the World in the key of F without even looking at the sheet music. I'm going to have a try just staying in this position, because all we need to do is exactly what you just did, but put the Joy to the World rhythm in. Here we go. Have a go with me. I'll say the notes. F, E, D, C, B flat, A, G, F. One more time. This time I'll give you the fret numbers to help. 8, 7, 5, 8, 6, 5, 7, 5. Yeah, as if by magic, right? We played it in the key of F. Now, before we try it in one more key to finish off, before we try the whole thing, sorry, in the key of F, let's try that in another key so you can see how magical it is. I'm going to keep that shape up on the screen, but this time, let's try it in the key of D. So the D major scale, that shape would be. Okay, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. If we play that backwards, that is Joy to the World in the key of D. Magic, right? Joy to the World in the key of E flat, exactly the same shape. Joy to the World in the key of E. And what I want you to do, and this is again crucial, is practice it in lots of different keys. You could just do that first bit where it goes through the scale backwards. But this is really hard to do. It's easy to do that, right, to follow the notes. But see if you can say the notes in your head. See if you can work them out and say them really slowly. And it's going to build up your knowledge of the fretboards. Again, I've got a secret trick at the end. I've got a magical thing to show you at the end. I'm going to use the whiteboard, which will allow you to connect the dots and actually learn all those notes in about 5-10 minutes. It's really clever. But let's just, so we've done it, let's just try it, the whole of Joy to the World using that shape. So key of F, position 5. You can follow through the sheet music, okay, starting at the 8th fret, and just follow it along with me. We'll try our best, okay? So 8, 7, 5, F, E, D. 2, 3, 4. And then back to 6, 5, 7. Then we go up the scale. 5, 7, 7, 8. Then we come back down the scale, remember a few notes doubled up. And again. We'll just pause for a second. That takes us to this last measure here where we've got lots of 5s. That's on the E string. 5, 6, 8. Then we go back, 6, 5, 7 on the next string, 5, 6. Octave jump. Don't worry if you didn't get that. And we come down the scale to F. Okay, and we'll stop there for a minute. Now you've also, in your sheets, you've got this in the key of E flat. So you can do exactly the same thing, exactly the same intervals, same shapes, but you'll be starting from lower down the fretboard. So you can see how it works and experiment. But what I'd like to do, there we go. Oh, no worries, Andre. You can always watch the next bit now if you want and come back to the rest later on. I'm going to show you something magical anyway in a second. So next thing I'm going to do to finish off, rather than do that E flat one, I'm going to show you the magical thing where you can piece this all together, and it really, really helps with your learning. So I'm going to bring up a virtual whiteboard on the screen, hopefully, if I can get it to work. And I'm going to show you how you can piece this all together really neatly. Let me just see. Where did it go there? Sorry about this. Give me a second. There it is. Okay, good. Right. So hopefully, if I've done this right, you should see a white screen now. I can get rid of this one. And I'm going to show you how to piece together everything we've learned so far. Okay, so as I say, any questions on this, just give us a shout. I know I've disappeared, but I'm still there behind the screen, I promise, all right? So let's see, I'm going to do the fretboard. Let's do it this way, like it was on the screen. So this is your nut. I'm not the best artist, all right? So this is going to look a bit wonky. And this is our fretboard. Okay, those are our strings. I could put them in here just so you can see G, C, E, A. So just like the tablature, we've got this upside down. We've got frets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'll do for now. Dots on 3. Not some ukes don't have a dot on 3, some do, but you'll have a dot on 5, you'll have a dot on 7, you have a dot on 10. Now, this is where the magic starts, okay? what we're going to do is we're going to piece together all of your learning from today in a few minutes, and you'll hopefully, ding, some light bulbs will go off. So the first scale that we did was the C major scale, which was down here. We had this C, then we had D, then we had this E, F, G, we have A, we had B, and we had C. All right. So that was the first scale we did. So already, using just that scale, you already know every note on the fretboard because we can apply the chromatic scale. You know that first scale where we had the sharps and flats? Well, if we want to know a note that's not in that scale and we want to know what the note is on a particular string, we can work it out because our chromatic scale, and we've got it written out on our first page, told us that the note between F and G can be called either an F sharp or a G flat, right? Depending what key you're playing. You could just fill in the gaps, right? The note after a C, we know from the chromatic scale, is a C sharp or a D. The note after an A is either an A sharp or a B flat. It depends what key you're in, whether it's a sharp or a flat. That's a kind of a whole different question I can always come back to at the end. But notice, by using that magic, you've got all the notes up to about here. That's totally magical, right? You can learn those notes really simply. There's even more, it gets better than that. You'll notice that so far we haven't got any notes on the G string. Because all our scales start from our lowest string, which is the C on a reentrant uke, right? Okay. Well, that's fine because there's a trick that we can do to get all those notes. And some of you might already know this, some of you might not. But any note that you play on the G string, like this one, is the same 2 frets higher on the G string. So it's a simple trick to know all of the notes here. So if I play this one here, it's the same note as that, so you know that's an A sharp. If we know this is a C, 2 frets higher, we know this is also a C. So you can work out really simply all the notes on the G string. So now we're really cooking, right? We've got our scale, we've filled in the dots with our chromatic scale, and then we've used the trick to work out the notes on the G string, which is absolutely fantastic, right? Well, you can take it a step further. You can then look at that F major scale that we learned, okay? It might buffer a bit when I do this whiteboard, but stick with it, okay? So let's do our F major scale. That was F here, G, A, B flat, C, D here, E here, and F. All right, it's that pattern again, isn't it? You might recognise this pattern. It looked like this, didn't it? Do, do, do. It's that pattern for your major scale that we did earlier, okay? Well, again, if we use our chromatic scale to help us, we can fill in the dots. Because if we know that the note between a B flat and a C is a B, we know what that note is there. If we know the next note up from an F is an F sharp, we know that note there. We can use our magic, because if we know this is an E, we know this one is an E. Now it's starting to look like something out of a mad professor's diagram, isn't it? It's like, you know, like, it's like some crazy Einstein drawing or something. But notice we filled in all of the fretboard pretty much. You can just use that knowledge. So this is the magic thing that I want you to take away from today more than anything else, all right? If you know your C major scale here, and you know your F major scale here, and you learn those shapes, together with the chromatic scale, you can fill in all the dots and you can learn your entire fretboard. Now, you could just do it this way. You could just literally do it diagrammatically like this, but it's not fun, is it? It's much more fun playing the ode to joy and kind of using that to kind of learn them. But hopefully that's kind of brought it all together for you. I'll see if you've got any questions on that in a minute. No worries, Angela, take care. Hopefully I'll see you at the weekend. So really, really, really cool way to think about it. By the way, when we talked about sharps and flats, you know how I said some notes have sharps after them, some don't. The way I remember the chromatic scale is it's all of your notes. You can go from C to C. I'll do the whiteboard one more time. Like this. C, D, E, F, G. So these are all the notes that you can play in the world. Then we've got our sharps and flats. There's no sharp and flat on between E and F. And there's no sharps or flats between B and C. There's none there. Now this is daft. Those of you that have done my YouTube videos, you'll know this already. But the way I remember that is it's just the alphabet, right? You just go up the alphabet. And then to remember the ones here and here that don't have sharps and flats, I remember it as because elephants fart. Totally ridiculous, but that helps me remember that there's no sharp between B and C because and E and F, elephants fart. And you can apply that chromatic scale to the fretboard, and as if by magic, you can learn all over your fretboard. So if I picked up my uke and I was an examiner, not that you're going for an exam, don't panic, and I said, okay, what's this note? You think, how am I just meant to know what that note is? Well, you know, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There's our C major scale. The next note after C in the chromatic scale, C sharp. There's your answer. It's C sharp. If I said to you, what's this note here? And you wanted to work it out. Again, if I just said that at the start of the lesson, some of you might not be able to do that. What the heck is that note there? How am I meant to know that? Well, you know your F major scale here now, or you will when you've practiced it. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. The note after F, F sharp. You know the answer, F sharp. So, 2 scales. And you can learn every single note on the fretboard. Isn't that magical? And remember that shape. You can move up and down. F major scale, E major scale, E flat major scale, also known as D sharp, D major scale, D flat, also known as C sharp, and finally, because we fall off the edge, C major scale. And that's why I got you to put your fingers behind the nut at the start, so you can see why I'm not completely nuts. That was the reasoning. Hopefully that's really helped, guys. I know it's not the most exciting. It's not like some of my workshops where you've ended up playing a beautiful piece of music. Although Joy to the World's pretty cool, isn't it? But hopefully that's really helped you to kind of tie together that fretboard, kind of tie together all that learning and start to memorize those notes. The reason it's useful, you might think, well, why do I need to know a note up there? But if you ever do chord melody playing, it can be really useful. You know, where you're doing some kind of melody work up there, trying to think something like that. And you might have a piece of music where you know the melody note needs to be up here because it's an E. It kind of helps you find it. Also, it means that you can, and this is a key thing, if you can start to learn the notes as opposed to just following the tablature, you could play pieces of music written for any instrument, right? If you knew that the notes in a melody went F, E, D, C, you could play that even if it's written for piano, because you F, E and D, C, you know how to play them on the ukulele, right? So it's a really, really great way of kind of expanding your repertoire and expanding what you can do as well, which is absolutely fantastic. All right, let's have a look. Just had a question from Andre. Yeah, this is a great question. This came up in a Facebook group recently, which was quite interesting. There was a ukulele luthier I really love who accidentally built a ukulele with a dot on the 9th fret. I think he was thinking like a guitar. It's all to do with the way the instruments are used. So ukuleles, and this works for sort of mandolins and a few other instruments as well. There are certain notes that fall really comfortably in our tuning on the ukulele on particular strings. The main one being, if you play a pentatonic scale, let's do the A pentatonic scale. The notes in the, don't worry, you don't have to know this for today. I'm just answering Andre's question. It's interesting. The notes from the A pentatonic scale, and the pentatonic is one of the key scales for soloing, is A, C, D, E, G, and A again. Okay, so the notes in your A pentatonic scale fall on every dot. Well, on the guitar, because it starts from E, that string is different. So for the ukulele, it makes the pentatonic scales easier to have the dot on that that 9th fret. What am I talking about? A 10th fret. Okay. Whereas if it's on the 9th fret, it would be a bit more confusing. So it just helps with pentatonic scales in that key, and it helps with various other scales as well on mandolin and ukulele. And because the tuning's different, that's where they fall on a ukulele. On a guitar, those notes would fall differently. The other reason is on guitar you often play intervals of 6, and they just fall with certain shapes on the guitar perfectly when you have the dot on the 9th. It's kind of hard to explain, to be honest, Andre, but when you're doing this shape on guitar, which is a 6th, it keeps it consistent up the fretboard. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why guitars have that. But it's awkward, isn't it? Right? It's like, oh man, different instruments, different things. It makes it confusing. But yeah. Oh, thanks, Beth. Thank you. Thanks everyone for putting up with the buffering as well. I really apologise about that. I thought I'd try something new. I've got to learn, haven't I? Every time I try one of these new things, it doesn't work. So I'll go back to my old internet connection. It seems to work better, doesn't it? Yeah, there we go. Hopefully we got through it, didn't we? And you got a lesson out at the end. So let's just have a look. Karen's got one as well. She wants to know what the notes are, so she can do fingerstyle better. Yeah, absolutely. Another brilliant reason. Karen, if you can start to play from sheet music, it's so empowering. It's just wonderful. When I started to read sheet music, it really opened up the world to me. A lot of people only stay on tablature, and I did as well. In fact, Jake Shimabukuro, one of the best ukulele players in the world, only learned to read sheet music in recent years because he wanted to do some compositional work with an orchestra leader. But it suddenly opened up this world because I could take pieces of music written for guitar, piano, violin, whatever, and I could play them on ukulele because I could find those notes on my fretboard. So it's really empowering to start to read sheet music, and you can do it, guys. Let this be the start, okay? That wasn't my aim for today, but you've got those scales with the notes written out. And you might think it's quite intimidating reading sheet music, but just start with a few notes at the time. F, G, A, B flat, for instance, in that first measure. Scales only have 7 notes in them, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So it doesn't take long to just start using knowledge. You can do the kind of acronyms, FACE and every good boy deserves favours and all that. But I actually think the easiest thing is to just play some scales and melodies and start to learn the notes that way. In fact, I'm quite a strong believer in that. So maybe from today, if this interests you, start to see if you can work out some of those notes. So rather than Googling them or working them out using your chromatic scale, see if you can test yourself a little bit and learn some of them. And you kind of think, oh, it's impossible starting from scratch. But really, you know, I've been playing uke for 25 years now. It's only the last 10 years I've read sheet music. And that's only because I felt like I needed to know it to teach it. So it's you can do it as well. You can do it. You've got the whole rest of your life to learn it. So brilliant. Thanks, Andre. Yay, great. That's good to hear because I was worried I was getting a bit garbled there. So fantastic. Thanks, Patty. That is brilliant. So just whilst I wait to see if there's any more questions coming in, Just a reminder that we've got another Canna Capilla coming up this coming Monday. We're back to every Monday for Canna Capilla, and that's where I teach you, it's like a live ukulele jam, but I try and encourage you to play without sheet music. That's every Monday from 6 o'clock UK time, and you can take part in that. We're going to be back to these every 2 weeks as well. I'm quite excited about the next one, and Karen, you'll appreciate this. We're going to have a look at a beautiful piece of music called A Shoken Farewell. I wonder if I've got it somewhere. I might even have it on my... it's not one I know from memory, so I'm just going to see if I've got it here. It's a beautiful piece of music. Da 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 dee 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 da 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 da. That's me singing it rather than playing it, but see, I don't think I have got it on here. But what we're going to do in 2 weeks' time is I'm going to teach you that piece of music. It's absolutely beautiful. You're going to love it. And we're going to learn it as a chord melody as well. I wonder if I could do it off. No, I can't remember it off by heart. I thought I could, but I can't. But I'm going to teach you that piece of music. And I was trying to work out kind of how to do it. And I came across this brilliant arrangement by a guy called Spencer Gay, who's a really great ukulele arranger from the States. And I met Spencer a few years ago. He came to my ukulele room, he came to my shop to introduce himself when he was over in the UK. And I've asked Spencer, and rather than reinvent the wheel, I'm going to use his arrangement. So not next week, but the week after, 2 weeks' time today, we're going to learn A Shoken Farewell, and we're gonna learn it on ukulele chord melody style, which is brilliant. This one works brilliantly for low G, but I will have a high G alternative as well. So if you have got a low G, have it available. If you haven't got a low G uke, just use your high G and you'll be fine as well. So yeah, you'll love it. It's an absolutely beautiful piece of music, and it's a gorgeous chord melody, and it's really accessible. So I think you'll enjoy that. And I'm excited to use one of Spencer's arrangements because they're really good, actually, really fantastic. So there we go. Yay! I do listen, Karen. Karen said, we were talking about A Shoken Farewell, and I said, I play that in my uke troupe. She said, why don't you do it as a live lesson? Ding! So I do listen, Karen. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you for that. Thanks for the suggestion. Oh, cool. You came from a ukulele festival in Ashokan. Jay Unger played it. Oh, amazing. A Shoken Farewell, for those that don't know, was written by a guy called Jay Unger. It featured in, what was his name? The guy who did all the great documentary in the US, Ken Burns. It featured in Ken Burns' Civil War documentary. So loads of people presume that this song is like hundreds of years old from the American Civil War. But actually, it was written by Jay Unger, I think in the 1980s, as a farewell from their Ashokan Bluegrass Festival. So that's really cool, Betty, that he was there and you got to hear him play it. That's really magical, actually. So yeah, written by Jay Unger, and it's they play it at the Ashokan Bluegrass Festival to say goodbye at the end of the festival, which is really good. So oh, Karen, you're gonna rock this then. Shame we can't fly you over from Canada. We could get you to show everyone. That'd be quite nice. Could give me an afternoon off. Brilliant. I'll just see if there's any more questions. That was it. Yeah, Ken Burns' Civil War documentary. I love Ken Burns' documentaries. Some people are a bit funny about Ken Burns. I don't know why. People get a bit sniffy about it, but I think his documentaries are great. There's a really extensive one on jazz music. It's like I had it. It shows how old-fashioned I am. I've got it on DVD. I suppose it could have been worse. I could have said VHS or Betamax, couldn't I? But yeah, it's like 9 DVDs. This really long series. I think you can get it on Amazon Prime now. Just the whole history of jazz music, right from New Orleans to kind of free jazz in the 1960s and contemporary jazz. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely love Ken Burns. He's brilliant, brilliant. Oh, Karen saved me. 1982. I got the decade right. That's good, right? Fantastic. So there we go, guys. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for your next live lesson, which would be really, really exciting. We're going to do A Shoken Farewell. You can join me this coming Monday for our next Canna Capilla. For anyone that's up at the Grand Northern Ukulele Festival in the UK this weekend. I'm going to be playing there Friday night, and I've got the time now, it's 6:15 in the evening. So if any of you are around, 6:15 Friday night at the Grand Northern Ukulele Festival, I will be there playing a set for you. And after us, we've got Deb Manjuk, who are absolutely amazing, and they're going to be having loads of special guests for a special welcome party, which would be fab. I'm also doing a couple of ukulele walks completely for free to take part in the ukulele walks. If you're not even going to the festival, you can still come and take part in them. That's Saturday and Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock at the beautiful Castle Hill, views across the Pennines as far as York Minster on a sunny day. And then on the Sunday, I think it's this way around, it's Beaumont Park, which is actually a really lovely kind of old Regent Park in Huddersfield, and we're going to go butterfly hunting and follow a poetry trail, and we could do some canacapella jamming there as well. So if you're around in the UK this weekend and you're up north and you fancy taking part, come and see me. I'm also going to be doing some ukulele walks at my retreat, which is coming up at the end of this month. I've got one ticket left for the retreat, which was a return. This is going to be the last weekend of June, 29th of June to the 1st of July. We've got Jeff Peterson coming from Hawaii, which is going to be super exciting. And we've also got Phil Darman, Sam Muir, Percy Copley, and myself teaching. And we're going to have workshops, concerts, all sorts. It's going to be really, really exciting. Now, some of you that can't make it, Lillian's reminded me, thank you Lily, because you actually reminded me. For those of you that can't make it, check out my YouTube channel, subscribe if you haven't already, and my Facebook pages, because I'm going to be live streaming some of it. Not all of it, obviously, because I'm going to be busy doing it, but hopefully some of the concert and some of the performances and stuff, I'm going to live stream a little bit. And for you guys that come to my canacapella every Monday, the Monday after, which I think is the 1st of July or the 2nd of July, it's the first Monday in July, we're going to have a canacapella from this room as always, broadcast live, and I'm going to be joined by our very own Esther, which is really exciting. She's going to come and take a part, as well as Jeff Peterson. So hopefully I'll get him to play some ukulele tunes for you from Hawaii, which would be really special. And I'm going to get him to lead a couple of tunes, teaching you how to play without sheet music. So that canacapella is going to be like extra special. Jeff Peterson and Esther here in the room live with you. So even if you can't make the retreat, there's going to be loads of fun stuff going on. Right, my voice is starting to run out and I need to save it for the music festival now. So I'm going to say goodbye and send all my love. I'll catch up at you with the next lesson. Take care, everyone. You can't. Thanks for all your support as always, everyone.